Okay, today is August the 22nd, 1976, and we're going to tape Della Cremerius on some of her trips, particularly the one to Boston. What time did you leave?
Well, I left one day. There was a sign went up on the bulletin board at Letterman Hospital in San Francisco for volunteers to go to Siberia as replacements for nurses who were leaving, coming home for various reasons. And
What year is that?
that was in 1919. And a friend of mine that I had worked with in Agnes Trawl, she was the chief nurse in Texas where I was stationed, and she was my supervisor at Letterman. So she came rushing over and asked me if I would like to go, and I said, sure. So she rushed back and put our names on the list, and we were chosen to go. So we left Fort Mason.
Where's Fort Mason?
In San Francisco on it was around the 1st of October, 1919.
How many? Was it on a troop ship?
What's that?
What did you travel on? A troop ship?
We traveled on the transport Thomas. There were 3 other nurses joined us.
You remember who they were?
Yes, Florence Hill, Louise Young, and Gertrude Armstrong. And they
Where did they come from?
They came from various posts. I don't remember where. And that made 5 of us going over. And there were troops going to replace troops already over there. And so we were the only women on the transport.
How many people were on transport? You know?
About 1,200. And we sailed at midnight, and we anchored out off Alcatraz Island and took on some ex-prisoners from Alcatraz that were being sent to Siberia.
What were they going to do?
Soldiers.
Oh, I see.
They had been,
But the allowed to go on service?
yes. Some of them had been in service.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And were serving time in the federal prison. And then we sailed, and we went half speed on account of saving coal, I guess, coal. And we got to Honolulu, and we stayed there 6 days, waiting for more troops. We waited for the Army Transport Sherman, and they came with, I think, 100 more soldiers.
Where would they be coming from?
I don't recall now where they came from, but we had time to see Honolulu, and in those days, which was before they were commercialized like the United States.
How long did it take you to go from San Francisco to Honolulu? A week?
About a week, I'd say. And I wish I had my diary, because that would tell me exactly the time. And we went up the east coast of Japan and across the northern straits north of Japan into Vladivostok.
What time of day did you arrive?
We arrived in the early morning, and we were sent out to the hospital, which was an old Russian barracks on Diomedes Bay. You could almost look across to Alaska with the coast there. And Vladivostok Harbor is very much like San Francisco. It's landlocked. Where San Francisco is called the Golden Gate, it is called the Golden Horn because it's long. And we went out to the hospital, and this is gorgeous.
How big a hospital did you have?
I don't recall the capacity of it now, but it was evacuation hospital number 17, and the patients were coming and going, and they were able to send back to the States. They were sent back.
Who was the chief nurse there?
Chief nurse at that time was Miss Rockefeller. I can't forget her first name now.
Who was on the
Edna Rockefeller.
Who was some of the other nurses there? What you got there?
Oh, I don't remember their names. Because we were there about 2 weeks when there was a new replacement for the whole nursing force came in from the States. See, we were sent ahead. These others came about, I guess maybe it was a month later.
They went back to the States, the ones that were
The ones that were there went back to the States, and the new ones came, and Miss Margaret Thompson was the chief nurse of that outfit.
What did you do at the hospital?
I was in the operating room.
Who were some of the doctors?
Well, I had the privilege of working with Dr. Can't remember his first name, but he's Dr. Murray. He was a graduate of Johns Hopkins University Hospital, medical school, and he was a very fine surgeon, and he was one of the first that used the spinal anesthesia.
What was the type of patients that you got?
Oh, we had appendectomies, and some of them got the sites, and they were cut out, and
Did you get many that were gunshot because of the trouble along the
not
way?
too many, no, not too many gunshots.
What was the name of the army outfit there? What was the infantry and so?
The 31st Infantry, which was mobilized at, I think, in Manila, and they went through the First World War, and they stayed over in the Far East. I think they were through the Second World War, and then they dissolved. They broke up the whole, disbanded them. And the 20th, now I can't remember the 24th Infantry or the 25th or the 27th, but one or the other, because one of them was stationed in China, one in Vladivostok. I can't remember which one.
Was that the one that was called the Lightning Division? I don't think so. We had one of those in Berlin. I think it had a lightning. So.
No, they called them the, I can't remember the name now.
What was it like in Vladivostok?
Well, the hospital was these old barracks, and each ward had a building, and they called the division the Siberian Wolfhounds. And when we were over there, Miss Troll and I had taken care of a colonel's wife back at the Letterman Hospital, and Colonel Lewis was in charge of all the doctors and nurses over there, all the medical. And one day he invited me he was going to show me the town, and he said I could bring another nurse with me, so I asked Miss Troll to go with me, and he came and got us early in the morning, and we went down, he sent his car for us, and then they picked him up, and he took us out to lunch, and we had Russian tea, the samovar, and cakes, and it's called Chi and Pirozna, and I think it cost him something like 35 cents for the three of us. Chai and Pirozna. Pirozna is cakes and chai is tea. And Chinese called tea chai.
Was there still a lot of nobility around?
Oh, no, not then. But Colonel Lewis took us. They had that massacre in the station at Vladivostok, the railroad station. And Colonel Lewis took us out where they had a big grave out, and they were throwing all these dead bodies in there. And there were Chinese and Czechs and Russians, all kinds.
You don't remember what caused the massacre of the station?
Well, it was between the
Between the different factions?
different factions of the Russians. The white Russians and the reds.
What about the General Graves? Did you know General Graves?
Yes, I knew General Graves. For once in my life, I was popular at a dance because we were the only women there, you know. And we used to have dances in the headquarters downtown. And in one room we'd have the 31st Infantry Band. And in the other room would be the Navy Band, because there were 3 Navy ships in. And we danced from one room to the next. And I used to dance with General Graves. And he was very nice to us, very nice to everybody in there.
He was the commander.
He was the commander. And the naval commander was Admiral Gleaves. And there was the battleship, the battleship was named South Dakota. And the Albany, a smaller ship. I'm sorry, these things have gone from me a lot. I'll remember.
If there was a lot of activity on the railroad.
Oh yes, all along the railroad. Yes, we did get quite a few that were shot up on the railroad. You know, they brought it.
The Americans were protecting the railroad.
Yes.
Did you see anything of the British or the Japanese?
Oh yes, British, the Japanese. But a good many of them kept home. And we stayed over there to bring back the ships. And when we left, we took 2 boatloads of them back to Trieste.
They went back to Trieste to go home.
Yeah.
What about the ballet group?
Oh yes. One time there was a bunch of the Royal Ballets that